The power of love, that's the power, the spiritual power of February is the power of love. How many people knew that? How many people wake up in the morning and say, I embrace the power of love? So this morning, I woke up and I thought, okay, I've got a lot to do today. Got a lot. Okay. I'm going to get icing together for the spirit group cupcakes. I've got to make sure Nevin gets dressed. Got to make sure Nevin eats something. Got to make sure Brian gets up and gets dressed. Got to make sure, I get dressed. And then my phone rang. And I was like, well, that's weird. Who calls me on Sunday morning? Well, it was our friend Art. And he said, Sam, I can't do it. So bear with me as we go into a very special power of love off the cuff, okay? As we hold that power of love, enfolding Art in that space, because we know that we have the power to heal and bring to wholeness those that are sick and those that are hurting, right? So we affirm that for our friend Art. So the power of love, because I was in haste, I thought, okay, what am I going to do? I got to put something up there. What am I going to do? So I fell back on myself, and I said, okay, I have this great slide. The ability to harmonize, unify, desire, attract oneself to, and feel affection for. That definition, to feel affection for, has changed in my life from the time that I was young until now. And it's continuing to change always, right? For all of us. I remember one evening, I was out to coffee or lunch or something with a really good friend of mine. He and I and Brian and our group of people have been friends for many years, but he is, very different than we are. He's very conservative, he's very opinionated, and he's very black and white. The world is good or bad. And we were sitting at Mead's Corner, and we were sitting there talking about how much I love him and I appreciate him. And he had this look on his face like, what? You're married. Which just fueled the fire within me, because I remember he and I would go dancing, we would go to lunch, we would go to dinner, we would go to coffee. And oftentimes my friends from work would come dancing with us, and there was always this little rumor. Why wasn't Brian there? What's going on? So I kind of loved that reaction from him. Because to me, the power of love is that it is universal. The power of love is that I can love my husband with all of my heart. I can love my family with all of my being. And so too can I love my friend who I can go dancing with. Right? Because sometimes husbands don't do that. So as we sat there and we explored this, I remember we took a photo. If I would have been thinking, I would have pulled this photo off my Facebook page and posted it up here so you could see. But I remember taking the selfie with him because there was someone who photobombed us behind us. I don't know if you know what that means, but that means that you're taking a picture and someone does this. And that's exactly what the face was. And as we talked, and I told him what I thought about love, the fact that he exists means that he is worthy of my love. Because he exists, he breathes. Just as that guy right over there in Mead's Corner who was making a funny face is worthy of my love. Is it the same love that I have for my family? No, it's different. But it is love nonetheless. And so as we start exploring that great ability to attract and feel affection for, and we open up our definition of that, all of a sudden we realize that we can have affection for even that person that just gets us, right? And we say, thank you. I am appreciative of your heart because there's something in you that is reflecting something in me that I need to explore. A good friend of mine often says, those people are her best teachers, right? So we hold love, even if we don't really claim it right away. So that's my introduction to the power of love, is remembering that power of love that we experience here for our families, for our closest friends, we truly can reach out and give that same love in a different frequency to those people who we don't know, who we maybe are triggered by. And that leads me to Charles Fillmore. I can't tell you how much I appreciate Eleanor having those affirmations that were so perfect for me, saying, what am I going to do? I've got to put something together. So we teamed. Go, Eleanor. So I did borrow Eleanor's affirmations from Charles Fillmore. To know divine love is to be selfless. To be selfless is to be without fear. To know divine love. So that brings me to, what is divine love? The Greeks called it agape, right? Who's familiar with the word agape? Good. I remember the first time that I heard agape as being the love that God holds for humankind. And I remember hearing that word agape and thinking it had such flair, such flavor, such beauty, and it was poetic in its sound, in its movement. And I wanted to say, agape, right? I challenge you to do that later today. It will feel so good. Thank you, Joe and Mike. So the highest form of love, if we think about love as moving in a wave like this, right? So I have my love for my husband sitting right up here. He hates being in the front. But he loves me, so he does it. So our love is moving much like this, right? This is our love. My love for my son, is more like this. And so I imagine, what does God's love look like for me? And I start realizing that it's got to be something like this, right? And just imagine if I were taller. So when we start thinking about agape, I like to incorporate the movement because it elevates the energy that I am experiencing in the moment. I am elevating the energy that I am experiencing as the sounds come out of my mouth. Again, we're working with those waves, aren't we? Those sound waves. And I believe that by moving, I'm affecting the waves within the space around me. And as I move, those waves are bumping you. Don't you want to do it now? You can. I'll give you time. Agape. 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 So the love of God for man and of man for God, it embraces a universal, unconditional love that transcends and persists regardless of circumstance, i.e., completely unconditional. I like to think that I have some sort of understanding of the words unconditional love. Who has an understanding of that? I am amazed because I can't really get there. Every time that I try, every time that I sit and I think I'm going to experience unconditional love, I'm going to express it with my whole being, I'm kind of knocked over because it's such a powerful force that I really can't fathom what it is. Again, I like to think I can, but I'm not tall enough. So, I couldn't talk about the power of love without looking to Scripture. And in 1 John chapter 4:16, God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. That sounds pretty familiar. We, in the presence of God, looking in the mirror, sitting in this room with our cherished loved ones, watching the political plays on TV, we are looking at that very presence of God, aren't we? It's easy to forget that. I know I forget it. And I think one of the reasons why it's so easy to forget is because maybe I'm just speaking for myself here. I knew the love of my parents. I knew that was love. And I knew the love that was demonstrated on TV, and that's what really taught me romantic love. And 90210 was not digging real deep. So, right? So when we start thinking about our understanding of love, it's easy to get caught back up in the power plays and the dramas and the stories that were presented when we were children by what we were influenced, by the stories that our family said, because let's face it, most of us understand the definition of a dysfunctional family to some degree or another, right? So it's easy to understand how we might forget that fundamental truth that God is everywhere present, complete within me, within you, and within all of us on this planet and beyond, right? So I invite you to take a big, deep breath. And as you breathe, take a moment to think about the fact that in your breath, You are nurturing that very connection that you have of your spirit, that presence of God, and your soul, the presence of your identity right now, right? So as you breathe, you are nurturing that point of power, that point of creation within yourself. Breathe again, consciously, deeply into the heart space. Knowing that you are the very expression of divine mind and idea pressed into this visible space. That's something to get excited about, isn't it? And you breathe a little deeper. Stretch your diaphragm. Once more. Agape. It's in your body. That's how we connect to this power of love. It's in your heart. It's where we connect to that powerful divine idea that's pressing forth. And it is through that very divine idea that we backtrack into the divine mind that is the one mind, that is that presence of God within us. Wow. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God. Are we living in love? I have to tell you, at this very present moment in time, I have to answer with a resounding yes. Why? Because we exist. We are here, we are present, and we have been brought into this mesh of atoms and molecules, turned into these bodies that can dance out the word agape, and that can truly be in that presence of God, and that presence of God truly within us. Questions? So I had one question this morning in my head. I wonder how many people watched the Super Bowl. Oh, good. So some of you may not have seen this. The first thing that came to mind when Art was telling me that he was not feeling well, I thought, I just saw something about the different kinds of love. Man, I wish I would have known about that commercial when I was having lunch with my friend. I could have pulled it up on my phone. But a little Super Bowl commercial for Unity of Wichita. Maybe.
The ancient Greeks had 4 words for love. The first is philia. Philia is affection that grows from friendship. Next, there's storge, the kind you have for a grandparent or a brother.
Let's go.
Third, there's eros, the uncontrollable urge to say, I love you. The fourth kind of love is different. It's the most admirable. It's called agape. love has an action. It takes courage, sacrifice, strength. For 175 years, we've been helping people act on their love so they can look back or look ahead and say, we got it right. We did good.
So let's do good, right? Be good at life. This is a New York MetLife insurance commercial if you didn't see the whole version. But isn't that wonderful? To think about agape as being courageous, as being a dedication, taking strength, enthusiasm, discernment, wisdom, love. Are we seeing a trend? Maybe those 12 powers are coming up. So join me today in making a commitment in your heart that says, just for today, I exude unconditional love to myself, the universe, all living things. And I am one with the one. And so it is. Thank you. Hello, this is Samantha Jones, and here at Unity of Wichita, we just learned a very special dance. Here's your tutorial on the Agape. First, you have to take a big deep breath, lift the shoulders, soften the arms, and say, Agape. Pretend you're the most beautiful ballet dancer in the world, and you can't get it wrong. The Agape.